Welcome to another video. Welcome to my first long form video. If you found me via TikTok or found me via Instagram, I welcome you. I think this is a really exciting opportunity for you to learn perhaps a different way to think about how your customers and your prospects buy as a salesperson and how you should react and align with them in order to be more effective at selling. This process changed the game for me. I learned it many, many years ago, and I've been perfecting and codifying a process since then. It's largely based on challenger selling, also a little bit of Miller-Heiman strategic selling, but essentially it's the challenger on steroids. Really excited to talk to you about it today, and I think it'll change your life the way it did mine. So let's jump into it. First thing I want to say is challenger selling is really based on three main principles, or at least my version of challenger selling. They are the requirement that we shape a prospect's vision to our uniqueness is critically important. So if a prospect for whatever it is that we're selling, whether it's a car, a piece of software, or a complex high-ticket software item like an enterprise resource planning system that a customer uses to run their entire business, all of those decisions require a vision on the prospect side, on the customer side, a vision for how they're going to make a change in their business moving forward. So in other words, changing the status quo. And whatever the vision is, as a seller, it's incumbent on us to make sure that the vision values or overvalues what it is that we do differently relative to the competition. So if we have all of our language appear in blue type and the customer's vision wants to see red type, we've got to either reshape their vision to include a vision of blue type or understand that our chances of winning that deal are relatively low because the customer really wants red type. Blue type gives them a headache. So it's something to be considered. The second aspect is we always need to think about how we lead a prospect to our unique differentiation rather than lead them with our unique differentiation. It's very common where new salespeople want to show up and throw up. What that means is they come and spew all the facts about their system, their differentiation, their uniqueness, whatever it is that defines their product. And the customer hasn't even asked for any information on the product yet. So showing up and throwing up is not the way to do this. Leading with our uniqueness in our outreach or in our conversations with a prospect is really not the way to go. What we need to do is teach the prospect and lead them to our uniqueness so that based on their own discovery, they recognize there's something different and unique about us that unusually unique, that fits their view of their vision going forward. So we need to shape the customer's vision so that they overvalue our uniqueness, and we do that finally through commercial teaching. Commercial teaching is teaching the prospect through insight selling, teaching them insights as to why our uniqueness is critically important for their overall benefit on the outside, better than the competition essentially. So those are the three elements that this is all based on. So let's talk about what I've got on the screen right now. We have essentially the documented research-based, according to Challenger, phases that a buyer goes through as they are traveling down the journey to make a change in their business and acquire a solution that allows them to reach a different state than their current state. So i.e. change the status quo that they're currently experiencing. The most important phases of this are in the first few phases: the learn phase, the recognize need phase, and the explore options phase, up at the top left of your screen. So when I think about the learn phase, this is a situation where the customer doesn't really feel any pain, doesn't recognize that they have a problem in their business. They may not yet understand that they need to make a change. This is where I love to engage with a new prospect. I love to engage with them before they understand that they have a problem. Excuse me. Most of the solutions that I've sold to customers have been started at this phase where I'm selling something that's new in the market that a customer doesn't even know that they need and certainly doesn't know that my solution exists. So this is okay, but they're still of the opinion that the status quo, their current scenario, is fine. But they are beginning to realize that they need to assess their status quo for some driving purpose. Maybe they have growth ambitions that will require them to change. They have new impositions from a regulatory standpoint. The market is changing in some way, so they know that they can't continue to do business the same way and expect a different result. So this is why I love this phase. It's really an opportunity for the customer's discovery that there may be a new way or a different way to do things going forward. The next phase is they recognize the need. So now that I understand that there may be an option for me to improve my status quo, or for me to recognize that I have an illness in my business, meaning it's not a literal illness, but it's something in the business that is going to restrict them from further growth, further improvement of service to their clients, whatever it might be, but there's something hampering further improvement of their business. This is where they start to recognize that, hey, I've got a need. Perhaps I do need to look at changing my status quo and doing something differently. So they go through this discovery process. First, everything's fine. I don't need to change anything. Get out of here. Now they start to realize, well, maybe I do need to look at what I'm doing. Maybe I shouldn't be so closed-minded. Tell me a little bit more. And they start to be more open to learning. And the way to do this is through insight selling and commercial teaching. It's teaching them that their competitors are doing things differently, or in an industry very close to their own, they are doing things differently to much greater results. This is where they start to become receptive and they start to recognize that a change to the status quo is needed. And when I say they, this awakening normally happens with some individuals in the organization and not others. I'm sure if you're in sales, you've always met with a blocker or a skeptic, someone that holds on to the status quo, someone that is of a fixed mindset and believes change is a bad thing. There are others in the organization who believe change is necessary. Constant evolution is a superpower of our business, so therefore we need to understand opportunities for us to continue to improve. So while you'll have some that are more leading edge, you'll have others that are more laggards in terms of their adoption of new solutions, and they'll make excuses to keep the status quo exactly as it is. So they'll start to open up a little bit to vendors and start to explore options. Okay, so I've got a status quo that's no longer tenable or sustainable. I'm starting to recognize that I've got some of the symptoms that are represented here. Maybe I should start to look at some of the options or the ways in which I can solve for a change in the status quo that's necessary. So I'm going to stop there and just focus on that area and then talk about the grid that you see before you. So in that learn, recognize needs, explore options phase of the buyer's process, the buyer's research-based discovery process, I want to talk about what you see in front of you across the top. So the symptoms to recognize these phases are listed, obviously, as buyer symptoms. This would be the introductory sales phase from the traditional 5-phase sales process. Intro, qualify, prove, propose, and close. So those align with our phases of intro. The next is, what are the sales objectives that support our intro phase? Well, it's initial engagement, it's educating the prospect on the potential symptoms that they may have that are indications that they need to adjust or change their status. To accommodate or to address these types of things, we need to be thinking about teaching insights. I was with another customer in your area of business. They discovered this about their business. They addressed it in the following ways. or the industry publication that serves your business has stated that these are the changes that are coming as a result of regulatory factors that are just around the corner that you're going to need to deal with, and think about your current status quo. So all of these insights that we're teaching should be delivered to the customer with the mindset that our business, whatever your business is as a salesperson, uniquely addresses these issues. So these insights serve the purpose of leading the customer to our uniqueness. We wouldn't want to educate them on insights and topics that lead them to our competition. We want to choose insights that lead them to our uniqueness. So we have to be very clear on what makes us unique and why the customer won't be as successful with us solving the changes to their status quo without us in the mix. Next, moving from left to right, tasks. These are the tasks that support the sales objectives. You can see some of the examples I'm offering here. There are tools and resources available to address the tasks. And then finally, for you sales managers, the prospect verifiers are a critical way to identify with your salesperson which phase of the buying process, clear over to the left, is this prospect actually in. So to determine whether or not they've moved from learn to recognize need, or perhaps explore options down into define their criteria for purchase, you would ask some of the questions that you see in the prospect verifiers. So if you follow this process, and if you build your selling methodology with the tools and the resources that you see laid out here, I have them listed as generic references, but build this uniquely to your business, you will see a dramatic change in your results. Your prospects will see you as a trusted advisor, not as a salesperson who shows up selling features and benefits to their solution. You are educating your prospect on why they need to make a change, and you're attempting to position through commercial teaching the unique attributes of your solution that is most qualified to help them affect this change. So I'm going to stop there in the intro phase and continue this on in another video with the phases to come. I hope you learned something. Follow me for more to come. I wish you the best. My name is Eric. Let's go.